The Royal Motor Yacht Club Port Hacking is a hidden gem of the Shire, situated on the banks of the beautiful Port Hacking. It's a great place to catch up with friends, celebrate your birthday or any special occasion, and they always show the NRL live on the big screens. The RMYC Port Hacking, proud sponsors of this podcast and big supporters of the Cronulla Sharks. Check out their website, rmycph.com.au. They've got a Facebook page, or you could go old school and call them on 02 9523 9300.
Sharkcast! Sharkcast! Fafita tries to crack his way over, he does! Fafita got the ball over the line!
And to all you people back in the Shire, turn your porch lights off because we're coming home with a trophy.
Hey there, welcome to Sharkcast Pod, a podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world, the mighty Cronulla Sharks. This episode is brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the legends of the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. My name is Sam Shinazzi, OG 2015, a lifetime supporter, and that's what we're here to talk about, supporting this great club, because last night, as of recording today, there was a gathering at Kareela, the Cronulla Sharks Club, and lots of things were discussed, and a bunch of you were in the house, a bunch of you were not, which is why we're doing this, and we're here to discuss what was said by Dino Mezzatesta and by the coach and coaches, and lots of people were there saying things. So on the other end is a guy that you will know from an episode about a year and a half ago, also regular contributor to the show. His name is Michael Gillard. He's an absolute legend. He was involved with the club in the 90s, and it's been a lifelong passion for him as well. Michael, welcome to the show. How are you?
Sam, yeah, good. Exciting news last night, as you mentioned. You know, we're at the Sharks Kareela Lease Club there, but the exciting news is, hey, there'll be a new Lease Club hopefully in about a bit over 18 months. And we've all been looking forward to that. So, yeah, it was some exciting news, and there was a good vibe in the room for the people that were there.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, because prior to the event, I had in my head, and my head goes to some pretty dark places, I had scenes of an angry mob, but I'm told it wasn't like that.
No, not at all. I mean, I've been to AGMs in the past where you're lucky to get a quorum, so 20 or 30 people there, but there was probably 100 people there last night, and like all of us, probably all anticipating some exciting news. I mean, when I saw the invite come out, I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting. They wouldn't just do this ordinarily. So I was hoping for some good news off the back of it. And then the opening line was, we've got to go ahead for the construction of the Lease Club to come in. So it was great stuff.
So we're not going to hit any numbers here. You can go read the press release on the Sharks website, and I'm sure in various publications by now, but we will talk all about it. And they mentioned that the deal was only done 5 minutes before Dino hit the stage. And sometimes in sporting and entertainment worlds, they can stretch the truth. But I know for a fact it was actually 5 minutes before they got the deal done. Dino was going on stage regardless, but there was no plan B. And the deal kept falling down over a few times in the past couple of weeks, and of course in the past few years. But it literally was just good fate that there was a crowd of people waiting to hear the news, and they got the signature done, whatever the last signature was, 5 minutes before Steve Mace walked in the room and said, all right, we're good to go. So the rugby league gods were shining down on us for probably the second time in our life. And that's how that went down. What was the response like, the initial response when he said that? Was there a cheer? Was there yahooing? Was there, thank goodness? How was the scene?
Yeah, well, to your point, Dino actually, started by saying, hey, literally this is hot off the press 5 minutes ago, the last signature and what have you. And he had his pack there, and he said, well, if we hadn't got that phone call, I was going to basically throw the pack away. So, yeah, there was excitement. There was a, small muted round of applause, etc. And you could see on a lot of people's faces a sense of relief and what have you. But, it's been a long time coming, as we know, and the complications in terms of, what's gone on there with COVID and developers and timelines and safeties and liabilities. So Dino, went through a lot of that, and you can see why. But, we're all, eager to see something positive come out of it. And, it's probably 3, 4, 5 years past due, but, there's light at the end of the tunnel now, and we move forward, which is, fantastic.
And I think it's been explained in a few places that it's over a couple of stages. I believe stages 1, 2, then a third one. But ideally, they're looking at August, September, October next year. That's if everything goes well. And we know that, as you said, they can hit a hurdle, the building world. So we'll see how that pans out. But they are aiming for that time next year. And I can confirm that as of today, they've already started, shall we say, planning more. They're jumping on the front foot, the Sharks, to sort of get this over the line. So the final stage is here, so to speak, and happy days in a lot of ways, given how long we've waited for a club. Now, I know that there was a lot of detail given into how the club's going to look, and there were illustrations and that kind of thing, and we don't have to get into the heart of that. But from what I heard and have seen, etc., it's pretty impressive, the plans.
Yeah, for sure. As you said, they were pretty much ready to rock and roll as soon as they got the green light with those signatures. So to your point, they're ready to go. I think there's a design piece that comes into the equation now for the next couple of months. And then once that's basically ticked off, they can get into the stage 1 and the stage 2 that you spoke about. And that's primarily tells, and then pretty much have a club, as Dino mentioned, the ribbon cutting ceremony around about September next year. If they can get in a bit earlier, that was the plan. So they were, quite optimistic to try and get there to September next year. And then, post that, there's the stage 3 you spoke about before. It's just want to, get the club back up and running, get some people in there, and move on from there.
What's your early thoughts on the ribbon cutter? Got any ideas? Got any suggestions? Any clues?
Well, if we win the comp, maybe the captain, but that might be a bit premature. But look, you could pick up a dozen people there, right? I mean, Gal comes to mind, ET comes to mind. Peter Gow was there last night, so maybe he's a candidate to do that. So yeah, I mean, we could pick a number of people, I think, and they'd all be worthy.
Now, they went into great detail about financials, which we're not going to talk about on the show as requested, but the club is in a decent state as far as the financials go. Dino hosed down a lot of the, I guess, gossip and rumors out there from people who thought they knew what was going on, but he backs it up with some figures. But we do know and can talk about the fact that the Kareela club's doing really well. They also own property in Cronulla. The actual old Leagues Club site is worth a lot of money, and the ground is worth a lot of money. So there's actually a lot of different assets in the Cronulla system, and they profited this year with the help of just the way the NRL clubs run in general. So there was profit there. So generally speaking, did you get a good vibe about how the financials are going?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, there's still cash in the bank, right? And I mean, we're at a stage at the moment whereby, we haven't started construction, but there's been some unforeseeable costs in relation to that. I know the roof was an issue that they didn't pre-plan. The facade, that's been the big issue in terms of why some of these delays have been there as well. Contingencies, all those type of things. So they've had to expend some money in relation to that. But as I said before, there is still, reasonable money in the bank. They've got funding out to the side from the Commonwealth Bank, which is approved, ready to go. So, I mean, in a situation like this, in terms of the magnitude of the cost and what's required, I would suggest there's not a lot of clubs that have got, cash on hand to do this. So that's fairly standard, I would have thought, for this type of approach. And, Commonwealth banks, well, I don't think I'm talking out of school here, mate. If they're funding, the magnitude of some of this money that's been required, they've got confidence in the way the club's performing in terms of their ability to repay this over a period of time as well. So, once the club gets back up and running again, they've got the income stream from Kareela. The club gets back up and running in Woolaware. They've got the income stream from that. There's additional capacity for the crowds that they can get. He did talk about the stadium as well. That's a separate agenda, and all the focus has been on the Leagues Club, but they haven't taken the stadium away from what they're trying to do. They acknowledge that there's improvements needed there, but that's a separate situation, a separate conversation they can now start to focus on as well.
So just on that, I think the figure was 17,000 that Dino had once things are ready, I guess the year after next. The main addition there will be they're going to knock down the corporate tent kind of thing they have next to the ET stand, and that'll be the old regular side hill, which will fit in a bunch of people. And also in the Pete Burns stand, they're going to have where the corporate top level was, as well as I think some in the main area as well that maybe is blocked off. So that's already a pocket of 1,500, 2,000 people in his words, and possibly some more GA as well. So while certainly not hitting the heights of the 20,000 mark, they are looking to increase it. Dino was talking about home finals once the stadium is ready. He didn't mention next year, but once the stadium is ready, as far as the leagues clubs goes. And he seemed pretty positive about that. Can I ask you, and I'm assuming there was some general questions from the punters about the amenities?
Yeah, so I asked the question in relation to here a couple of months ago. Dino was there with the local member in relation to the upgrade of the women's change room. So I think there was $4 million from the club plus $4 million match from the Liberal government if they got in. So as we know, they didn't get in. So that's on the back burner now. So that's off the table. But yeah, the toilets and a lot of those, general amenities that we all know, require upgrading, etc. That's on the cards. He did talk about, I think the old, I think it's in the south-eastern corner, there used to be a toilet block there. So all the plumbing and the infrastructure is all there for that. So that's just a matter of once the ground gets configured again, they can pretty much commence that and start again. So yeah, absolutely, there's still in the scope to improve the ground facilities as it is.
Okay, so some light at the end of the tunnel with that kind of thing. What about the coach? The coach appeared and gave a 15-minute talk. I believe it was hosted by our good friend Robbie Willis. Again, I hate to use this word so many times in one episode, but what was the vibe when Coach Fitzgibbon got up? Was everyone respectful? Was everyone cool?
Yeah. Everyone was respectful, as naturally that they should be. The topical question that's come up, on this show in a lot of the forums at the moment is the selection process, right? So Robbie Willis was straight on the front foot in terms of asking that particular question, and I thought, Craig answered this quite well. His opening line was, we've invested in, the best of our best, and that's what you need to stick with. So, he was quick to point out that, that squad at the end of last year, as we've said before, 20 minutes off a grand final, top 4, top 2 material this year. If you lead up to that Melbourne game here probably a month ago, it was a pretty respectable squad, performing quite well. So he is open to change. Absolutely. That was one thing that he reiterated, but he just doesn't think at the time it's required for change yet. Look, there's been some injuries and some other bits and pieces that he spoke about there that have affected performance, and he's not using that as an excuse. I mean, Tom Hazelden's been out for quite a period of time. He did point out that the back five at the start of the year haven't played together all year. So we know Sione was out at the start of the year. We know KL's been out. So that back five, when they're on their game, all quite dynamic, but they haven't played together. He also mentioned the scheduling and some injuries and just, the travel and a combination of all that. And again, not using that as an excuse, but, some players were playing injured. So, look, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you've also got to, if you're going to replace someone, you've got to bring someone in who's better, and they may not be there as yet. I think I know we get frustrated, and I know the season's getting on, but I think we've just got to, rely on what Fitz is doing and believe in his processes and the coaching staff's thoughts and what have you, and we go with it.
I think that the fans' frustration is, well, we've lost, 4 out of the 5 games. There's no change. This guy's killing it for the Jets. Bring him up, and sometimes it's not that easy. I know that the centre, Michael Gabriel, who's everyone's got raps on him, deservedly so, he's in consideration, but he hasn't played much footy, and so that I think they're reluctant to throw him out at the NRL level to play for 80 minutes when he's only played a couple of games in the past 5 or 6 weeks. So I think there is change there should it be required. But as Fitzy said last night, in his eyes at the moment, he's got the team. It's his job to get it back on track. They did talk about signing news, and we've been sitting on this one for a little while, but we've signed a chap from Newcastle, and he's kind of in the Dan Atkinson mode of utility. He's very quick off the mark. Believe it or not, he plays hooker and fullback, as well as a bunch of other positions. And he'll be in consideration next year in the 17 should everything go the way it's going, because he's a pretty handy player. The news will break on that further, I'm sure. They've re-signed some guys at the lower level. We're not sure what's going to happen with Will Kennedy, a few other guys off contract, but we know unless things really shake up in some way, we know we've got this team for the foreseeable future. So it is in the coach's best interest to get it right this year. Anything else from Fitzgibbon that you want to touch on, Michael?
So you mentioned Michael Gabriel there before. So I was actually out at Henson Park on Sunday watching the Jets go around against the Bears. I did see Craig and Steve Price in the crowd watching, and Michael Gabriel was there. He had a mixed game. I mean, Fitzy did mention he's only 19 and he is ready for first grade, but just not there at this stage. And I mean, in saying that, I saw some average play, but then I saw some exciting play as well, which you think, this guy has got the credentials, quick on his feet, as Fitzy mentioned the other night, and what have you. So, I mean, it's good that, Fitzy and the coaching staff are there watching the new guys come through. And, as I said, Michael gave the Puru brothers, they were good as well. So, they keep their eyes on what's going on for sure.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty bad storyline out there that they don't keep up with what's going on below them. And that would be pure insanity. They absolutely do. And to your point, they've been to the last few games as a coaching staff, as a crew out there checking it out. So if someone's good enough there, they'll get their shot when the time's right. I think Jaden Beryl's another one that might get a shot off the bench as well. So our listeners know I'm pretty comfortable with Craig Fitzgibbon, our coach currently. I think he does a really great job, and I like what he does. I do see the fans' frustrations. I personally would also tinker a bit with the team. That's okay, Michael. We'll get you back. So, Michael, walking away from that, do you think the fans in attendance bought into what Craig was saying?
I did. I think so. We all think we know a lot about the game and what have you. And, we've all got our opinions. But, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what he said to me made sense. I mean, I'm just as frustrated as yourself and the next person watching what have you. But, I mean, we've said before, this is the squad that we've got. We can only, go up so many others that we might be able to replace other people with. And he's not happy where the situation is. I know the players aren't as well. So he did actually say, now that the bye has come through this week, the scheduling is actually a bit more settled. The playing roster's a little bit more settled. Okay, there's a few guys that are still uninjured. The bye's been good. He did see some positives in that Melbourne performance. Hey, let's get back to basics. Let's start again, and we've got to really now step it up.
Yeah, I think they're great points, and it's very much step up now, or you're not going to make the finals. I can't believe we're already at round 19. It's just flown by. I am struggling with that notion that it's round 19. So now it's go time, and Dolphins this week will not be easy at all. And did you hear from the NRLW coach, Tony Herman?
Yeah, so Tony was there as well. I mean, only round one for those girls and what have you. But, he'd spoken about the pre-season and that they'd come together, 6 weeks ago when, he lost a few through Origin, like Tiana and Ellie there through Origin, so they were gone a bit. But that's a good thing because, they're in a good system and they're training and what have you. But, yeah, he was, obviously disappointed with the result on last Thursday, but, plenty of good signs there. And he's got a couple of he's got, I think, Jada coming back and the new little halfback to come back. So they're still a couple of weeks away, and he's hoping to get the other prop lady there back towards the end of the year. So that's positive if she comes back into the equation as well. So, yeah.
And how was the I know you're involved yourself. How was the question and answer segment of the evening?
Good. Not a lot of questions, which is probably not a bad thing, given the fact that Dino was quite comprehensive in his presentation, and I think that answered a lot of questions. There were some concerns around the parking and the amount of parking. There was a question around also some disability parking, but I mean that'll all come to play as the club develops and what have you. But again, you're a little bit restricted there in terms of, the precinct, etc. One of the things that did come up there in relation to now, the fact that the complex is complete, so you've got to get a crane, you've got to get some other workings into that area to complete the construction. You've got to be conscious of, residents and noise and everything now. So, I mean, it's not a fait accompli yet. I mean, I think there's still going to be a few challenges there, but, at least we've got the green light. And to your point, if they're in there today already looking at this, and I mean, the developer's been, I think Dino might have mentioned in the media piece there, and fully impressed with the developer. The developer's been engaged throughout this process for, almost 12 months. They've got some good runs on the board in terms of what they completed. So I think overall, it was a fairly positive outcome.
And one more thing before we let you go, Michael. Dino was talking about game day and that kind of thing. He mentioned the fact that Allianz Stadium were hitting pretty hard to the hoop. They were coming towards the Sharks hoop, trying to get the Sharks over there for a game. Do you want to elaborate on that anymore? What can you say about what he said there?
Yeah, that was a bit out of left field. Going back a few steps, so there was talk about the home games that we've taken away and the Magic Round, is a financial benefit. The Perth, it was a financial benefit as well. Someone mentioned the fact that, why do we go to these particular locations when, the members are disadvantaged at Shark Park and what have you. And, I mean, we all know the reasons why that is. It's a financial piece. But, Allianz come out of the blue, and I didn't really catch a lot of that. But, I mean, the big end of town is what Dino was saying. So, again, this all comes back to the fans need to go there as well, right? I mean, if we get that particular opportunity, the facilities are good there. Yep, it's in Moore Park there, and that area can be a bit of a troublesome area to get to. But I mean, if it's a big ticket game against a competition heavyweight or something like that, I mean, the crowd's got to travel, right? That's what it comes down to. And he mentioned before people not travelling to the semis and stuff last year, so. He did also talk about, Friday night against the Dolphins is, there's only like 5,000 or 6,000 tickets sold. So, that's potentially a struggle. And, you can't go to Allianz if you're going to get, that many people there. So, look, I mean, it's all those things are on the table and to be discussed. And for the right opportunity, I think it's a good thing. I mean, it's a good ground. I mean, the facilities are good, but, I mean, you got to get there and the crowds have got to get there, as I said.
Yeah, I mean, my initial thought was absolutely not, even knowing why they would primarily do it. And a lot of reasons came to my head, as you said, like, I mean, what game are you going to take there that's going to have that amount of people? And particularly if you have to make that decision in November when the draw's done, and then assume that a South Sydney or a Canterbury or whoever is going to be big and you want to play them in the city and get their fans there, I think it's all a bit risky. And I just don't like the idea of losing a home game, even though it might be to replace a Perth or wherever. However, I'm open to it, I guess, next year when we are still at a reduced capacity. There's no Leagues Club, etc. So I'm open to that. But yeah, I thought that was a bit of a curveball from Dino, and I guess it's good to put it out there in a few different ways to prepare people, gauge opinion, and see what the fans think. So interesting one. We'll see if anything comes of that. Appreciate you, Michael. I know you sent me a comprehensive list, and thanks to a whole bunch of people who sent me similar lists and other things. Really appreciate it for people that couldn't be there, and also great to get your insight, Michael, firsthand. Just quickly, how do we fix the losses, do you think?
Yeah, it's the million-dollar question, is it? I mean, I think it all just comes down to, it's completion, it's the options. I mean, Craig speaks about, not taking the Hail Mary options and that type of thing. We saw a little bit of that in the Melbourne game. So, it's, as I said before, it's getting back to your basics, getting the simple things right, your kick game, your completions, don't rush things, patience and what have you, build pressure. I know Fitzy likes to talk about that. So, he's telling us that, that things are settled, what have you, and the buy's there. So, now's the time, as you said before, it needs to happen, pretty much this weekend. So fingers crossed, a good performance against the Dolphins, who have been a bit of a nemesis, but, hopefully we can get a crowd down there and, we win this game, then we go into the Roosters again at home and hopefully, put 5, 6, 7 games together. We've got to buy later in the round, later in the year, what have you. So anything could happen. Yeah,
for sure. I've already had people say they're not going based on selections and form and that kind of thing. And I understand it. I don't relate to it, but I understand it. But I will say, if you're in the hood or if you can get down there, it's Friday night, Shark Park. Dolphins are very entertaining. I mean, if they put 50 on us, it won't be as entertaining, but you're going to see a guy like Katoa in the flesh, the Hammer, presumably, a bunch of those guys. But more importantly, you're going to see our team hopefully click. If we click, we get to sing the song at the end of the night. You want to be there for that. This is not Homer Sam talking. This is just Sam, the Sharks guy, going, be down there if you can. It's going to be fun. It's always fun down at Shark Park. That whole theme of taking your ball and running, I don't know. I think we're all in, good, bad, indifferent.
Maybe a slight calf strain out of origin for the Hammer might help us a little bit, Sam. But
look, if he's got a slight calf strain and if Katoa's got a migraine that lasts 4 hours and he can't play, I'm more than happy. I'm just saying that if they're all fit, I'm sure it'll still be a good spectacle. But yeah,
we got no excuse.
Get down there, do it. No, I agree. I agree completely. As I said, I think in an episode already this week, they've won 8 games and we've won 8 games. It's not like it's a challenge we can't get past. It's just that they're in a bit better form than what we are. But they also lost to Newcastle recently and we walloped Newcastle. There's lots of things we can do to change this around. So
a week's a long time in football, Sam, as we know.
It is. Hey, thanks for your time. We'll get you back on when we're not so rushed and when I haven't put you under the spotlight and going, hey, jump on. So appreciate your efforts to be here and also giving up your time. We'll talk to you soon. Hope to see you down at the ground. Everyone else, we'll have some more episodes for you soon, so stay tuned. But this has been a bit of a catch-up from the gathering last night at Kareela. We do thank Michael Gillard and we thank everyone else who contributed to the show with information, etc. We'll speak to you all soon. This is Sharkcast Pod, up, Cronulla. Sharkcast is supported by the best and most honest real estate agent in the Sutherland Shire, Jason Hawes from Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. He's an expert in the Caringbah region and has his eye all across the Shire. Lifelong Sharks fan and supporter of this podcast, if you're looking to buy or sell in the region, the person you need to be talking to is Jason Hawes from Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. Call him on 0410 417 450. That's 0410 417 450. Jason Hawes, Cripps & Cripps Real Estate.
Shire, turn your porch lights off because we're coming home with a trophy.